Now we have completed our discussion of air pollution. Let's come and discuss about water pollution. List the various activities in which we need water. You know, we need water for drinking, for maintaining our metabolic activities that are going around in our cells, because cells, for every other requirement or inside our body, for every other process and reaction and breaking of complex food molecules into different substances, everything that is happening inside our body is happening via a liquid medium, majorly water. So therefore we need water for drinking, for maintaining our health. We need water besides that for bathing, for washing our dishes, for washing our hands, and for so many other activities. We also need water in industrial and chemical power plants, because water is it is the universal solvent, right? So a lot of activities in the industries and the chemical power plants, it happens in the medium of water. Okay, and also we need, in these industries, we need water as a cooling agent, because water, it helps when cool water is being run around heavier metals, that it acts as a cooling agent. Okay, I'm sorry, not coolant agent, cooling agent. All right, so these are some of the activities in which we need water, and of course plants need water. Other animals apart from us human beings, they also need water. And also you must be aware that there is a scarcity of water all around, because although water is present in seas and oceans, but they are seawater, they are salty, and they are not fit for consumption, they are not fit for drinking. All right, so there is a scarcity of fresh water. Fresh water means water that is fit for drinking. All right, or you may also call it simply drinking water. Okay, and there are many areas where especially during the summer seasons, that those in those areas water is not available for drinking. Some areas, they are highly dependent on rain, so that they can harvest the rainwater, and they may collect and may extract the fresh water from that rain. All right, and the scarcity of water, it leads to drought. Okay, all right, and therefore wherever possible we must conserve water. So water scarcity closely related with water stress or water crisis. It is the lack of fresh water resources to meet the standard water demand, and water is becoming scarce due to population increase in population, and for other activities that I had just mentioned in the previous slide. Because increase in population means all of those people, they require water for drinking, for cleaning, for washing. All right, and industries, there is a requirement for industries, for plants. So industries and agricultural activities, they will also require water. So there are some places, especially those belonging to the rural areas, and also some poor people who cannot afford clean drinking water. They deal with this water crisis. They have to face with the scarcity of water. Okay, what do we mean by water pollutants? We those pollutants, those undesirable, okay, those undesirable substances that get mixed up in water, and these undesirable substances, they are harmful for our health. Okay, they are harmful, they are noxious, means they are toxic, and in extreme cases often it leads to death. Okay, so whenever harmful substances such as sewage, those waste that gets out of your houses, be it your kitchen waste, kitchen liquid waste, or your sanitization waste, your bathroom waste. Okay, so sewage, toxic chemicals, silt, etc., they get mixed with water, and they, whatever source of fresh water we had, it's now unfit, because now it has chemicals inside them, it has solid particles inside them, gaseous particles inside them, harmful, toxic pollutants that are running along with the water, and that water is now not fit for drinking. So you can see here in this picture that many people, they wash themselves, they wash their utensils, they wash their clothes, or they even sometimes defecate alongside the source of fresh water, rendering that water unfit for consumption. So these substances, they are water pollutants, and they basically contaminate water. Okay, Ganga river is the very I may say the most prominent example, the most famous example of fresh water being polluted. So Ganga River, you must be aware, it's the most famous rivers of India, and it sustains most of the northern, central, and eastern. From the Gangotri Glacier, it emanates, and it is the source of fresh water for so many of us. All right, but now millions of people, they have started contaminating it. So Ganga has now become an endangered river because of increased human activities. Some people, like I told you, they defecate, they use it for their own washing purposes, for washing themselves, for washing their clothes, for washing the utensils, etc. Okay, so now there is a worldwide fund for nature. It founded that Ganga is one of the 10 most endangered rivers in the world because of so many pollutants. Because of so many pollutants, the river is dead at many places. Because or what I mean is that the river is is filled with so many harmful pollutants, harmful toxic pollutants, that whatever life form it was sustaining, aquatic plants, aquatic animals, all right, so whatever life form it was sustaining, because of the increase in this harmful toxic pollutants, chemicals, etc., those living organisms, they died. All right, where the pollution levels are so high that aquatic life cannot or could not survive. So you can see here in this picture, when the water gets dirty, when the water gets contaminated, it poses a very grave danger to the aquatic plants and to the aquatic animals that are there, that are depending on that river water for their survival. So if the water is getting contaminated, if it is getting filled up with harmful and toxic chemicals, pollutants, etc., so it is definitely going to lead to the death of those aquatic plants and animals. So at some places, this river Ganga is dead because at those said places there is a very harmful, there's a very toxic increase in the pollutants. Okay. And how does the river get polluted? I have been talking to you about this, that the cities, whatever waste that is getting out of your home when you bathe, all right, so those waste coming out of your bathrooms, or when you use the toilet, waste coming out of that, your excreta, all right, then the kitchen waste, etc. Okay, so all of these wastes, some there are municipal corporations where it is being, it is being supervised that those wastes are processed, those wastes are treated before they are being released. But in some areas, they do not work efficiently. They directly expose that polluted constituents of water directly into the river systems, hence contaminating the fresh source of water as well. All right. So those large quantities of garbage, water, untreated sewage, dead bodies, and many harmful other things. And also in India, especially when you have that festival of Ganesh Chaturthi, or during Dashera, so whatever statues of gods and goddesses, they are being made, be it even just of simple mud, okay, but they are ultimately being submerged into the rivers, right? So those muddy particles, they are ultimately getting dissolved into the water, and if that water is a source of fresh drinking water, then naturally it's going to get contaminated, right? So people can be seen bathing, washing clothes, defecating. They throw garbage, flowers, idols of gods and goddesses, and non-biodegradable, means those substances that cannot be decayed, that cannot be decomposed, such as polythene bags, etc., into the river. If you happen to visit some beaches in the especially in the southern part of India, you may observe that the shores of those beaches, they are filled with these polythene bags or other wastes, all right, and they render that water body polluted, they render that water body contaminated. So not, so of course here I'm talking about fresh water bodies, but I am giving you the example where you can visibly see for yourself that how water bodies, they are being contaminated. It's not just the freshwater bodies, but also rivers, oceans, seas, every other area where man has, inhabited, where man is living, that is getting polluted, that is getting contaminated. Okay. Ganga Action Plan has been taken. This plan was launched in 1985. It is a very older plan and was taken to preserve the river Ganga. All right, to reduce the pollution levels in the water. But now, since the population and industrialization has increased so much that this action plan has been rendered futile, and a new plan has been launched by the government of India. This is known as the National Mission for Clean Ganga (NMCG) in 2016, and this plan is for the sole purpose of the cleaning of the river Ganga, so that it is ensured that the river, the pollution that the river is facing, the contamination that the river is facing, that is getting controlled, that is being checked or limited. Did you know that the Ganga at Kanpur in Uttar Pradesh has one of the most polluted stretches of river? All right, so Kanpur is one of the most populated towns in UP. Okay, UP is one of the biggest states of India, and Kanpur is there one of the most populated towns. And in Kanpur, the amount of water is comparatively small, and the flow of river is very slow. All right. Why is the flow of the river slow? The flow of the river is slow because of the presence of pollutants. So the pollutants that is being released into the Ganga river in Kanpur is so high that imagine that the natural flow of the water body is decreased. All right. So you can imagine that how much the garbage, the pollution there must be, right? In addition, Kanpur has more than 5,000 industries. So apart from the garbage that has been freely being thrown into the river bodies, into the water bodies, there are 5,000 industries, and the waste, the effluents that are getting out of those industries, they also being thrown, they're also being disposed into the river. So those the discharge of those toxic chemical waste is also ultimately going into the water body, especially inside the Ganga river. What steps are taken to restore the river Ganga to its past glory? So we have talked about that National Mission for Clean Ganga. All right, National Mission for Clean Ganga, and it is abbreviated as NMCG. It was launched in 2016, and it is a plan taken by the government of India to conserve and preserve and to check the contamination of the river Ganga as much as possible. So it's in the previous slide there was an example of Kanpur, right? But do not just limit that example to Kanpur. You can, if you happen to reside in near a water body, not necessarily Ganga, any water body, if you happen to reside, or if you coincidentally happen to reside near the Ganga, okay, so you must have observed the amount of pollution that man has done to river bodies, right? So wherever you are, you take care that the river bodies, they are not getting polluted unnecessarily, right? Apart from the steps that the government is taking, we humans, if we individually and collectively start taking these steps, then naturally there will be lesser and lesser of contamination and pollution that we have to get rid of, right, in the long run. So we humans at our individual level must learn and must keep on doing our part. Okay, so we discussed water pollution here. In the next part of the chapter, we will be discussing about the causes of this water pollution.